Hello, everyone. This is Tammy Fisher within the Doll World, and I'm here today with my lovely co-host, Miss Georgette Taylor.
Hey,
Hello, Miss
everybody.
Georgette.
Hey.
Hello. And today we're joined by our guest, Thanos Samaras. A lot of you probably know him as Yatabazah. He is best known in the doll world for his incredible wigs, but he is an artist, so he does lots of different types of art. So we're going to talk to Thanos today and learn more about him and his doll journey. Thank you, Thanos, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, we're excited to have you.
Yes, we are.
We've been enjoying your wigs. So we first became aware of you with Ernesto. He had some photos.
Ernesto, yeah.
Yeah, and he had I love the wig with the rollers. It was so fun.
Oh, the rollers, yeah. Well, that was a collaboration between Ernesto and Julian and I.
Okay. Okay.
Julian
cool.
Kalinowski. So it was like a threesome thingy.
Okay. Cool.
And Ernesto did the pictures. I did the hair, and Tanya
Lawrence.
Tanya Lawrence did the outfits. Sorry, I blanked out.
No, it's fine.
And it was a limited series of 10 dolls. Yeah, it was one of Julian's dolls. Yeah, and he proposed to me that we could do like a limited series, and he asked me to sort of art direct it in a way, kind of come up with a concept and 10 different looks. And we did 2 examples of each look. 5 looks, 2 examples of each look. So that was 10 dolls. And I did the hair for that. And it was wonderful collaborating with Julian, who I think is the reigning doll genius of today.
Cool.
And Ernesto, who has taught me and exposed me to a great deal of amazing, wonderful things. I learned so much from Ernesto.
Yes.
That's cool. Yeah, we learned
we
learned a lot from him too.
Yes,
it was a beautiful interview too. We had a great time with him.
Yeah. And we've known Julian.
I watched it. It was wonderful.
Yeah, we've known Julian for a long time. Julian came with me to In the Doll World. He was one of those people I knew prior to us starting this. So yeah, our journey is a little longer than In the Doll World. Yeah. So
Oh, I see. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that's wonderful. So I'm sorry, I started talking to you about your wigs and got off topic. Well, I'm on topic, but starting in the middle.
Sorry.
Okay, so that's okay. Let's start with your doll journey. How'd you end up here in the doll world? I mean, how did it start? How'd you end up specifically with wigs? That's a very specific journey.
That's a very specific journey. You're right. Let me just go back to when I was a very young child. Somehow, for reasons still unknown to me, less so, but I'm not really sure why. I got interested in hair. For me, hair is something that is extremely transformative to a face, to an individual, to an identity. People can become other people just by changing their hair. So that kind of dawned on me really early on. And I was really fascinated by the nature and the malleability and the versatility of human hair. So my mother, when she was a teenager, she was a teenager in the early 60s. So once she got to be 18 or something, she had really long hair. She cut her hair, she bobbed her hair. So she saved the ponytail. And I found that ponytail in a drawer somewhere. And I would take bits of that ponytail and experiment with it. I must have been 9, 10. And I would experiment with this human hair. It would react to whatever stimuli I would give it. Like, it would be forlorn if it was wet. It would be wonderful and beautiful if it was sculpted. It would wither away if I put chlorine and bleach onto it, but then it would sort of bounce back when I put olive oil onto it and, you know, give it love. So this verse, and then it was different indoors and different outdoors with the sunlight hitting it. It was a very versatile and very responsive material, and it just fascinated me. So little by little, I went through the entire ponytail until there was nothing left. I was experimenting with it for a long time. And then, of course, you know, I'm a boy, so I couldn't have dolls. So, but I have a sister, and she had dolls. So I would play with her dolls in secret. She and I had a pact, so I could play with her dolls. And I couldn't really enjoy my time with dolls because it was a forbidden, burdened love. I couldn't really enjoy myself, and there was a fascination with dolls very early on. And then one night, it was on CNN Europe. I watched a news story on the French doll Madvani. You're aware of Madvani? Billy
Yes.
Boy's
Yes.
doll.
Yes. Yes.
And I was blown to bits. There were close-ups of the hair, the makeup, the accessories, the fabrics, the textures, the skin of Dee, the black doll, who is my favorite of the Madvani family. The makeup, just everything was so out of my world and a window into another world that I had never imagined existed. So that was a very short news story, and it was really late at night, 3 a.m, and it just went in and out, and then it was gone, and I knew nothing. You know, that was way back in the time where there was no internet. That was the early 90s. So I had no way of going into like French doll. She looks pretty. She looks handmade. Everything is amazing. What's her name, please? So there was none of that. So I had to sort of file it away. And I did file it away. And then I just went on with my life. And years later, after going to university in London and drama school in London, and being in New York to do some seminars, I went to the Chelsea flea market. At the time, Chelsea flea market was not inside that garage, which is where it is today. It was an outdoor one. It was, my God, I still have glimpses of what was there, and it was mind-blowing. There was so much stuff. I remember looking at do you know Flatsy, the doll?
Yes.
The flat dolls, the fashion ones, the fashion Flatsy, the
almost
not the.
Yeah, she's almost like Pokey and Gumby. That she's made
exactly.
like
Yes.
kind of material. Yes.
So I remember there was her, and there was Barbies and everything, and I had sort of forgotten about dolls at that point. I was 25 or something anyway. So I went through this magical wonderland that was the Chelsea flea market in 1995. And I found, and there was a World of Love doll on the amongst everything, and I fell in love with her. Just her gentle smile and her kind face, and
they
I
also
just
had
picked her
really
up.
cool clothing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like
but I found that out much later. Hippie, yeah, it was. She's very much a 1971 doll. Like she sort of, it's a capsule of 1971. She's very well, she's quite true to her moment. So anyway, I picked her up, and it was such a wonderful feeling, because all of a sudden I had a friend I could carry around with me because, you know, I was traveling all over the world because I was born in Greece and I was living in London and studying, and then I went to New York, and I would go back to Europe, and I was traveling a lot, and I was very much on my own and very lonely. So I remember very clearly, I picked her up, paid for her. I got into a taxi, and I had a moment to examine her. And I remember telling her, "Oh, we're going to be friends. So you're going to be with me and we're going to be together." And she was with me for the following 6 or 7 years that I was traveling and studying and working. So that was that. That was a very long-winded answer. I'm sorry.
No,
you're good.
That's wonderful.
Good. It's a great story.
So when you were a child and you played with your sister with dolls, what dolls did you play with?
She had 2 Barbies.
Okay.
One of them was a Steffi face.
Okay.
I found out later. That was my doll. I had a Steffi face Barbie. I had no idea what that was, a Steffi face, but I recognized her. So she was a Steffi face, and my sister had I've forgotten what it was.
But
anyway,
it was a Barbie.
She had a Barbie. I had a Barbie. I never really clicked with Barbies. Do you know what? Up until now, I have never owned a Barbie ever.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has their own dolls. I mean, there's a doll that you just that's your doll, and sometimes it's just one doll out of a whole line. It's like that doll speaks to you. Like Georgette is a very different collector than I am. So Georgette has her dolls are primarily Byron Lars Barbies. She's not a Barbie collector.
No,
the collector of Byron Lars's dolls that he did for.
Oh, I see.
Barbie. So there are people who they just have a certain, a certain doll, and
you kind of find your. I feel that you find your clan, you find yourself, in a doll line or a doll type. I think that's what happens to us doll people. We maybe I shouldn't generalize it, but I suspect that maybe we're not the best at social interactions, and I find that to be true. I'll take a plunge and sort of commit to that. I find that a lot of introverted, out of the box type of people find solace and a window into a very creative world and a safer world, into the doll world. Because I know that I prefer things resembling humans rather than humans themselves.
Okay. Yeah, the doll world is huge, and we run the gamut. And there are a lot of us who are introverted, and it's like us and our dolls. And then you have those of us who are extroverts, and our play is different than me.
Are you an extrovert?
You know what? According to Myers-Briggs, I am an introvert, but I appear as an extrovert. And the way that Myers-Briggs defines introvert is you get your energy from within. So yes, I am internally. I mean, I got an engine inside, but I like people. I love people, and I can get to the point where I can have like too much, and I need to settle back. So like my furniture is black because it's quiet. Black is a very quiet color for me. I know lots of people have lots of patterns, and I like to just. There are times when I just need to be quiet. And I also, I also think I'm ADHD. So I think that that's another thing with, the pattern and so the blackness is just quiet. So I think I run the gamut, multifaceted, depends upon the day and what's going on, but there are many of us who are introverts.
Textures is a very important parameter of dolls and doll collecting, and it has to do with some of that ADHD. It's their textures can be comforting as well as maddening. Color,
Mhm.
color can be therapeutic, and it
Mhm.
can be infuriating and disastrous.
Yes.
You said ADHD.
Uh-huh.
I have Asperger's. I have autism.
Okay.
So for me, textures are extremely important.
Mhm.
That's why I suspect that's why I was so drawn to human hair, or I should
Mhm.
say, natural fibers, not
Okay.
human hair per se, because a plastic fiber, uh, a synthetic fiber, has no soul. It will not react. It will react to steam or boiling water. We know the drill. But
Mhm.
with natural fibers, no two batches are the same.
Mhm.
No, in terms of color,
Mhm.
texture,
Mhm.
behavior, the way they take a curl, the way they take a shape. Um, it's
Mhm.
always individual. It's always as if you are meeting someone new, and that is very exciting to me. Even now, I just never know how the hair will behave because I don't deal with synthetic fibers ever.
Mhm.
Okay.
Sorry, that sounded a bit intense.
No,
Ever.
no, that's your world.
Yeah, that's what you
Yeah.
what
Because
I
you
mean,
prefer and
synthetic,
what you
yeah,
work with.
that's
because
your
Yeah.
truth and your journey. Yeah.
I find synthetic hair,
Mm-hmm.
synthetic fabrics, just synthetic. I find synthetic to be like an imposter,
Mm-hmm.
something that resembles what it
Mhm.
should resemble, but it's not really that.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
whereas natural materials, I'm just so fascinated and enchanted and drawn to natural materials, be it silk, cotton,
Mhm.
pearls, gold, like real wood, real uh, material that it has had life
Mm-hmm.
or still has life,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
something like that.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, it
Yeah.
does make sense.
Yeah. And it's like, so I color my hair, and with my
Me too.
Yeah, I love
my
it.
and for me, and I know this might not make any sense, but in like all of
Try me.
these red, orangey,
Yeah. Yes.
browny,
Hmm.
that's gray. And for me,
Yes.
it feels that if I color my hair black, that for me
That
it feels like
don't
I'm
show up.
lying. Well, it feels like I'm lying. If this, you can look at this hair and say, usually my hair is not a natural human color, like more on the purple side, or and I feel like, okay, my hair then becomes a piece of art. So everyone knows that I'm not
A
here in the
canvas.
room. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
canvas.
Hmm. Hmm.
Everyone knows that I'm not in the room to tell you a lie. I'm not trying to tell you, oh, look at
Hmm.
my black hair or what, because it's not.
Right. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
my natural hair color is black, but it's gray now. So the way that I play with that is I color it with unnatural colors. And it feels like to me that when I step out into the world, there's like this agreement that we have, and it's that, yes, that is not my natural color hair. You know, it's like, so we don't have to have a
But that
conversation
is
about, do
who
I
you are, though,
dye?
and you're presenting yourself.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm also an artist. So yes, my hair journey is a whole journey in itself.
Oh
It took
yes.
me,
I
yeah, it
get
took me
that.
to get
Yes.
to about 50 years old to be able to love my hair. I absolutely love my hair now.
That's so
And
funny.
that is also where I can play with it. And it's because I've learned to love it and accept it for what it is. I don't have to, straighten it so that it looks professional, because a
Hmm.
lot of people think professional hair
Right,
is straight.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
Hmm.
my hair is in its natural state. And
right.
there's a freedom. So I understand what you're saying about that whole thing about this life. I get it. I I
There's a
I,
lot
I
of
I get that.
information. There's a lot of information embedded in our hair.
Hmm.
A lot of our identity
Hmm.
uh, is um, is embedded in our hair.
Hmm.
Um, the way we choose to shape it, color it, present it, it really does give away so much information about us. When you walk into a room and you have orange, like an Irish light auburn hair, as you do, with the darker strips, which are still dark, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's where it's
right.
still black.
So exactly, yeah. You through that, what I'm getting is that through that you have the courage to present yourself with less fear and present yourself saying, here I am, and I am not afraid to present myself and be in the room. And I mean, I would not dare go into the discussion about African American hair, because I don't know political. I don't know enough. I really researched it, but just for me to understand as much as I can. But I don't know enough to sort of speak on it. But African American, that texture has been abused for the longest time. Black girls would need to change their hair to resemble Caucasian hair to blend in and not be, and be sort of less black, which is devastating. That's what I'm picking up on it. But
it's a whole
more and more.
Yeah, it's interesting when your body is a political statement. Your natural body is a political statement.
Of course.
When in America there are states that are writing laws and passing laws about my right to wear my hair like this. They're literally passing laws that say I have the right to wear my hair in its natural.
Yes, currently they just passed it.
Yes. Yes.
Like how far south into the South are we talking?
So it's not just the South. It's part of it is part of the racism that we experience in this country. We are seeing changes, but in our even recent history and even now, it's seen that there are certain positions that you cannot hold with your natural hair. If you look at most of the people on TV, like the people who are newscasters
and things like that,
they tend to not have their natural hair. Their hair tends to be straight. So we've had stories about, kids had to get their hair cut or they got kicked out of schools because their hair was in its natural state. And no one should have to legislate. No one should have to give me the right to wear my hair the way that God made it.
But it's the chapter of hair is it's not just about hair. It is a political statement. It is an expression of identity. It is a form of it's a canvas to play with. It doesn't need to be so heavy or complicated.
Right.
But there's a lot going on with hair, and I find that in my world, I'm an actor director, so my interest is in characters and human behavior. So I've always been interested in what type of hair would the character have, or should the character have, and it's always been a part of creating that character. Just as important as the costume, the makeup, the set, the light that hits it, the music that dresses it. Hair carries information, and when it comes to narrative arts, or a narrative, should I say, when it comes to telling a story, it is a parameter, a very important one.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
In my humble opinion.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how did you come from, you say you were an actor and a director and and I know you were in the arts. How did that transition though into you creating wigs for dolls?
Right.
Not just wigs, but for wigs for dolls. How did that happen?
Yes.
You know?
I don't like people. Yeah, I'm not too crazy about people, so I'll just go to dolls. But so here's the thing, it never transitioned. It has always been a split personality. It's always been parallel. I've had I am two people. I'm Thanos and I'm also Yatabazah. And I don't mix the two because I'm still not allowed to. And that is infuriating and oppressive.
I was going to ask you, what does
What
that
do you
mean?
mean by it? What do you mean by that?
Well,
you're not allowed to in that sense. What does that mean for you?
Well, in my world of theater and movies and that sort of thing, it would never mix. It can never mix. My work with dolls, it doesn't make sense. I'm talking about how it's perceived, not as I perceive it, because I feel that everything in whatever I do, it's all one thing. Whatever I do with dolls, it's telling a story. Whatever I do with actors is telling a story in a play, or whatever I do with myself in a movie or on stage is telling a story. It's all about not being, it's all about being poetic and just speaking truth directly or indirectly. It's an honest way of expression. That's how I deal with dolls. For me, every wig and every doll that I customize, or every accessory that I create, or everything that I do with my hands is telling a story, is about an idea. It's not just about, oh, it's pretty. I don't care about pretty. And like how Tyra Banks said, pretty is ugly. She was right. Pretty is not the issue for me. It's about conveying an idea, an emotion. So to me, everything is one. But dolls, oh my God, that's certainly not a serious, pastime. Or how would I call it? Yeah, it's looked about. I feel that it would be looked down upon.
So I understand what you're saying.
I understand what you're saying, yes, but
so do you see? So Yatabazah is that's your part of your personality that is in the doll world, the one that is allowed to experiment in that arena. Is that what you're saying? And then Thanos cannot do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why you go by the two different
Yatabazah
names.
is me as a kid still. Is me as a kid still. With no rules. I can do whatever I want. I don't need an audience. I don't need a producer. I don't need a critic. I don't need anybody for any feedback whatsoever. I can just do whatever I want. And that's all I want in life, to do whatever I want. And with dolls, in that scale, I can do it. And that gives me pleasure. The freedom to express myself through this medium gives me pleasure. But at the same time, I directed a couple of plays, and it was the most creative, the most pleasurable, as well as completely exhausting but exhilarating, utterly creative period of my life. I have to separate the two for them. For me, it's all one, and we're fine.
Okay, that makes sense. I hear what you're saying. And for me, and I don't know if this is true, does that stem from your childhood and that inability to play and have to hide and be this closeted, little boy playing with dolls? and now you've grown into this adult, so that's you still have that little closet, that little boy part of you that is playing with dolls, and that's Yatabazah.
Yes, I'm sure it has carried over into my adult life, but it's not just about being a sissy, or
Oh no, it's not. I'm sorry.
closeted,
No.
or it has to do with non-conforming to any rules other than the rules of empathy and kindness, and not conforming to any social constructs.
Yeah.
I've never conformed to any constructs, and I've paid a dear price for it.
That was gonna be my next question. That's yeah,
but
you pay for that, that independence.
That independence has a cost, and
yes.
I could not honestly say that I stand by my choice, because it was never a choice. I had never a choice. I just had to stubbornly do whatever the F I need to do to feel content and fulfilled and happy and filled.
Yes.
Yes.
With without hurting anyone. It's all about empathy.
Yes.
Empathy is number one.
When I use the term
Please go ahead.
closeted, it wasn't about because I don't know your sexual orientation. It's none of my business.
Do you think I'm a homosexual? Oh my God.
None of my business. Let me tell you what.
How very dare you?
When I said being in the closet, I didn't mean
that being in the closet.
No, the little boy who had to be afraid
I'll take you
to
up
let
a
everybody
notch.
know.
I'll take it up a notch. I don't even have a sense of gender. I've never felt be male or female. It switches. It's something in between. It shifts.
So it's like the gender fluidity kind of.
You know what? Those are words that we kind of had to learn and use. I don't even want to conform to that. I'm just a little person. I'm just a little person who's going to be on Earth for a very little while. It means absolutely nothing what's in my pants and what I do with it, and it's time is very little and it's very precious, and those things just have very little meaning. But you know what? Having said that, all of that has to do with my work. With whatever I do, it's everything. It has to do with identity, sense of today. Who do I want to be? How can I change myself so I don't hate myself? Transformations. And wigs do that. And dolls, as we shift from doll to doll and we kind of focus on the new one and we give ourselves wholeheartedly to the new entry, it's basically choosing a new self every time. Sort of, not always, but I feel that it gives us it allows the allowance to shift identities. People that are how do I should say this in the way that I want to say it? I don't play with dolls. I am with dolls. I think that it's a lot more complicated than people give it credit for. Not that it needs to be, so that it's legit. No one cares about that. And right now, I just want to sneak something in. I've recently gotten into the BJD dolls. I was resisting and disliking them for the longest time. I just could not, because I'm a Madhvani freak. I think Madhvani is the Madhvani and Julian's dolls are the best dolls ever, and that's a very structurally a simple
I was
doll.
gonna say
It's
they're
like
very simple.
joint,
Yes.
joint, 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 right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
BJDs, they have all those like little
Mm-hmm.
joints and things, and they look conjointed and they look freakish. Da, 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 da. Anyway, I discovered the Popovi dolls, and I
Mm-hmm.
kind of fell in love, and
The
I
sisters have
got
beautiful
one.
dolls.
Yes.
Yeah, and they do all kinds of wonderful things, those
Mm-hmm.
sisters. And then, but you know, Popovi is the best made BJD. I think that it's commercially made. Let's just say they're perfect. They're perfection in matter form.
Mm-hmm.
But do you know Pasha Pasha?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Now that is heart-wrenching. Her work, her work is completely singular in my
Mm-hmm.
mind, right? I'm just expressing my humble opinion. Her work is singular in embedding, expressing emotion. Her work is emotional.
Mm-hmm.
She has put into doll form human pain and
Mm-hmm.
human the human experience. I think
Mm-hmm.
that she has done something that I have never um, sort of received from another
Mm.
doll maker or another doll. She really moves me,
Hmm.
Pasha. Pasha Sertova. Um, she's really special.
Mm-hmm. No, that I mean that's great. I saw something recently where they asked, "Am I the only person who doesn't like the ball jointed or not just ball jointed, articulated dolls?"
Right. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
Right.
the person was saying the reason that I don't like articulated dolls is what you're talking to
All the
all the
joints and
jointing. They
things.
don't like
Yes.
the way they look. They
Mm-hmm.
prefer
Mm-hmm.
the streamline,
Mm-hmm.
with the
Streamline.
simple jointing at like you said, the
Mm-hmm.
shoulders
Very well
and
put.
hips.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm very grateful to dolls. I am very grateful. They have they've held me through difficult times and through lonely times and through times where I was very doubtful and alone. Dolls have been really good friends,
Mm-hmm.
very loyal friends, um, and a means to express myself, but also a means to support myself. And that just fills me with great respect,
Mm-hmm.
to my friends, the dolls,
Mm-hmm.
because
So
that's a really important thing.
yes. How are you defining support? You use dolls to
Both
support yourself.
emotional and pays the rent.
Okay. Because I know before you were talking about them from the standpoint of how they made you feel. So I wanted to make sure that we were understanding how
That is
you
a
were
struggle.
using
That is a struggle.
support.
That's very much a struggle. I very often have to take on commissions to make things, actually to sort of repeat things that I've done in the past, uh, or take on commissions of someone else's idea of something that I wouldn't. I would rather not do, for the money.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, so many of my customers, clients, have given me amazing ideas at the same
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it, it it's never the same. It's ever changing. um I mean, it is a struggle. If I was if it was up to me, dolls would be um just a pastime, just my I was gonna say secret, but let me rephrase that. I was gonna say my personal platform of expression. But you know, if I direct a play every couple of years, or if I do a movie every couple of years, that doesn't make enough money, especially in Europe. So I make a living through that. And I really do love to create something of the utmost, as far as I can make it, quality, and I put a lot of love and care into the things that I make for the people that ask me and pay me to do that.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, since I know a lot of times we talk to people about how, you know, that their art sustaining them, right? Their art making them money. And so we understand that yours is doing that. How did that happen for you? Like, I mean, when you started making wigs, like, what was your group, or the people that you connected with that said, hey, I want to buy this from you? You know, how did that happen for you?
Do you remember that Steffi face Barbie of my sister's? Right. At some point, I decided that she was a blonde girl. She was a blonde Steffi. So I walked around my sister's room and I found some dolls at the top shelf that she wasn't interested in, brunettes. So I cut the back part of their hair off, and I made tiny wigs with that hair. I still have them.
Wow.
They're right up there. I still have them.
You want to show them to us?
4 wigs.
Yeah, may we see them?
This Steffi face Barbie, she needed, you know, no, that's enough of that. Let's see who else she needs to be, or who else I need her to be. So I made 4 wigs for, and I must have been like 12 or something.
I was going to ask you how old you were.
So I was very young. So that is like a bowl cut.
You made that when you were like 12?
I mean, that's I mean, that's
wig.
very crude.
That's a nice looking wig.
Maybe the resolution is very low. And then this one.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
So she was like a Julie Christie.
Yes.
Or she was like something, you know, something like that. And then there was another one that's like a longer brunette type of thingy. And then what else is here?
That long brunette.
Okay. And
that long brunette, it was like a pony, pulled back in a ponytail in the top, and then
exactly. You got it. Yes. And then like a Cleopatra one, sort of.
Okay.
All right.
Wow. So you made all 4 of those? That is so cool.
Yes, those are the 4. And then, but hold on, I started making a lace wig, but honestly, I had no idea what a lace wig is. Wait, hold on, where is it?
Yeah,
and
right
I
there.
started like nodding hair onto a cap. Never finished it. Didn't have the patience for it. But what was your question?
How did you get started into that part of it, and then making money doing that?
So payment for it just came without really asking for it or planning for it. But this Steffi face just became 4 different dolls, completely different dolls, who needed a different wardrobe, had a different vibe. They were just 4 completely different people.
So did you make wardrobes for each to go with each wig?
I kind of did, because you know what, the Cleopatra had.
Oh, okay.
I just found that. Oh my God. All right, it's embarrassing.
Did you make that when you were a kid? Your little. That's not embarrassing. That's a beautiful.
You had to put a headband on her.
Yeah, headband.
So cool.
Yeah.
That is bronze, ladies. That is bronze.
So how did you get the beads on bronze?
I have no idea. My mother's very creative, so she had a whole bunch of materials. So anyway, I just saw that.
That's
so
very cool.
What really made me extremely excited and inspired was that hair is very transformative.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of, and then plot twist, CNN Europe, 3 a.m., Madvani,
Mhm.
a doll that has human hair wigs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was experimenting with human hair already.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, the universe conspired into me realizing that
Mhm.
I want to make human hair doll wigs.
So are
And
all of your doll wigs, are they all human hair, or they're all like hair, like you have like alpaca, or someone else, another hair from another
natural.
living creature? Yeah, natural.
Yes,
Yes.
it's human, horse, goat, which could be alpaca or yak,
Okay.
camel hair,
Wow.
uh, and and I'm just waiting for an order of silk. I really want to go into working with silk now,
Wow. Making
because
silk
silk
haired
is neither,
wigs. Hair
silk
on
hair
people that
wigs.
is, wow.
Yeah. And then it's really interesting because silk is neither hair nor a string. It's something in between.
Mm-hmm.
And silk, well, the type of silk that I bought, like top notch quality, has no flyaways.
Hmm.
So it's going to be very exciting working with. I just have a whole bunch of ideas that I've been, for the last couple of years, that I've wanted to uh, put into
Hmm.
action, and it didn't feel right. But with this fiber, I'm really gonna go for it.
So your primary way of supporting yourself is it through the wigs, or the
Depends.
whole doll, or so?
Depends. Because
Okay.
if I do a play or a movie,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm good for a long while. But
Okay.
I'd rather not do projects that I don't like. So there might be like a lag between projects. And
Okay.
in between that, you know, dolls are my friends, and keep me, you know, they keep me afloat.
Okay. That makes sense. So your journey, it sounds like it started as a very young child. And so, and it's a journey that is continuing because you're still playing with different fibers. And so
I'm still 11,
I was, you're still 11. That's beautiful to continue to be able to be
never
that,
moving on.
that wonderful little child, have that spark. So you told us you're going to be going into the silk. So
Mm.
that's your next phase. And what else do
Yeah.
you see as, I mean, as this journey is continuing? So what's going on with this journey? How do you see it growing?
Right. I've been getting a bit tired of doing, kind of repeating myself the last couple of years. Uh, well, not totally true. I've been progressing and moving into the BJDs, and
Mhm.
because I was really working with Madvani and Blythe for the longest
Mm-hmm.
time, and really
Mhm.
enjoying myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then getting into BJDs. But this new fiber, which
Mm-hmm.
I know very little about, because I've been experimenting with it. Um, I
Where'd
just
you find
died.
where'd you find out about
I
it?
just
Where'd you find this?
well, my friend Leo gave me a bunch of silk. So
Okay.
this was gray this morning. So I dyed
Okay.
it
Oh,
dark brown,
Uh-huh.
and
It's beautiful.
so
I like the
I'm just
sheen.
starting to. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
I'm excited at getting to know and um, exploring a different fiber. That's all. I don't need much. You know, a new fiber is really what I needed to sort of become excited about creating again.
So you're gonna
That's nice.
do different styles with this when as you play with this. Are you seeing this as new types of wigs, not just the fiber, but different styles?
That's a very good point. Styles, hairstyles, kind of. Oh, what's the word? Dictate the fiber.
Okay, that makes a
Because
lot of sense.
Yes, it's not the other way around.
Okay.
No, that makes.
If you want a structured, look,
Yeah.
a structured style, you will not go to alpaca. That fiber is maddening. That drives me nuts because I'm very much structural in the shapes that I make, and alpaca really only looks good limp. And it looks amazing, but limp.
Okay.
So this silk fiber can really do a whole bunch of stuff that I've been wanting to do, but have not been able to do with human hair or goat hair or yak or alpaca or this and that or mohair. My God, it's maddening. Mohair with the flyaways and the lack of, it doesn't, mohair needs to be flowy. Alpaca needs to be limp. Human hair needs to be hard. Yak hair, which is very coarse and hard, needs to be translucent and severe. It cannot do shapes because it'll be frizzy. So it needs to be like cement. You need to create. So each fiber dictates the shape, the possibilities of shape. And this new fiber, new for me, this silk will be a lot of fun and hopefully sort of, allow me to move on with making things because I really hate repeating myself.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I made a wig recently out of my hair.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
And because I was thinking about that with fiber and texture, and so I made this little. It's got looks like a little piece of lint. But I made this little afro from my hair.
You made it with your hair?
Yes. So when you were talking about
foundation,
it's a fabric with hot glue, and it's a plastic, like a polyester.
Got it.
And hot glue.
Wow.
And because of the way my hair is, it will ball. So when
what number is it?
Like 4, I think. Yeah, I've got
very
thick.
coily.
Yeah. And so when I comb my hair, and when the hair comes onto the comb, it's not straight.
So you kept
this
the
is
hair.
what my hair looks like. So when I take
that's how
hair
mine
out of
the hair
tightens up. Yeah.
So when I
comb.
Yeah, when I take it out of the comb, this is what it looks like.
You kept the hair from the comb.
Yes. And so I just took the hair from the comb. I didn't comb it. I mean, I combed it, and you always get hair that pulls out.
That comes
shedding.
out. Right.
Yeah.
Shedding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is what my hair looks like when it sheds. It's little balls of hair.
That is absolutely awesome.
So
I made
just
little tight curls.
Yeah. So I just glued them down, just took the little balls and glued them down. So when you were talking about that, I totally get that, because you can't take that silk, at least not in the form that it's in now, and make an afro. It's just not happening.
Plot twist. This can take a curl.
Okay.
Like a mofo. It's absolutely transformative.
Okay.
Transformable.
Okay, that's cool.
It's so versatile. It's not just limp. This is the basis for whatever you want to do. It can take absolutely any shape that I want it to take. just by setting it in water. It's very versatile.
Wow. That's
That's
great.
really cool.
That's
Yeah.
gonna
You're
give you some
challenging
amazing
me.
hair.
Yeah.
You're
Amazing
challenging
hair.
I
me
want to see. I
into
want to see an
making an Afro wig with this.
Yes.
If you've been following us, you've seen my big afro. I just don't
That's
have my
so
hair picked out
funny.
today. That, yeah,
But you know
that's
what?
great.
In the Victorian times,
Mhm,
ladies would save the hair from the brush after
mhm.
brushing their hair 100 times a day. They would save the hair, and there was a specific porcelain, a particular porcelain jar
Mhm.
that they would shove the well, there's a word for it. No, not the sheddings, but they would take the hair out of the brush.
Mhm.
They would save it,
Mhm.
and once the amount was sufficient, they would create um, padding for their hairstyles. So they would use their
Oh, okay.
the hair that shedded into creating, what's the word? Um,
A bouffant or
exactly,
something. Yeah, it's
like a
like it's a,
bouffant,
yeah.
but using padding with their own
That's
hair.
cool because I always
So
wondered how they did that. I just assumed they were just some wigs. You just got
all kinds of
a
ways.
wig made out of
Sometimes
stuff.
it was
Okay.
wire,
Okay.
sometimes it was pillows, but a lot of
Mm,
times, and
it
most
was their
ladies would
hair.
use their own hair.
That's
Hmm.
cool. Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah. So this is a wonderful interview, and what we'd like to know is where can people reach you? If they're interested in buying a wig from you, having a customized wig or
Mhm.
doll, or how do you want them to
Seeing
reach
your
you?
work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and to see your work.
Mhm.
Where should
Hmm.
they go?
These days it's Instagram
Okay.
at Yatabazah, or my website, yatabazah.com.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's spelled Y-A.
Yatabazah.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's how
Okay.
people can reach you. Okay. And
Wonderful.
this has been an amazing interview in that just the amount of things that we've learned. And another thing that you've done is that you also talked about your relationship with dolls.
Mm-hmm.
I know that a lot of people have the same type of relationship you have
Yes,
with
me too.
dolls. We haven't had anybody talk about it. Yeah, it's been nice that this interview has been a form of validation, I think, for a lot of our watchers, a lot of our followers. They're going to say, oh, that's what it's like for me. Because a lot of people talk about doll play. And it's like, it's not really play for me. It's a form of art, or it's a form of
Right.
therapy, or it's something else. It's not all doll play. And that's what people normally talk about. So thank you for expanding the doll world that way, for giving a voice to those whose interactions with dolls are more like yours, who they are more like a friend, a trusted relationship, a way for them to express themselves and to grow.
Being
Yeah.
with dolls,
Right.
more like
Yes.
playing with them or buying them, just being with
Right.
them.
Exactly.
That's I think at this moment, that's as clearly as I can express it. It's
Mm-hmm.
just being with dolls.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Many people might feel the same way, and they might choose a different word, and they say, "Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
play with dolls," because they'd rather not. It's very personal. They'd rather not go into it. They'll
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
say, "I play with dolls," but
Mm-hmm.
they're with dolls as well. They
Mm-hmm.
are,
Right.
with them.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's
There's a
what I
lot
think
of
that's
us
what
out there.
I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
Tammy was saying. The fact that they may not choose those words, or they may feel vulnerable to say that it's more of a deeper connection with dolls. And so
Mm-hmm.
by you sharing that, it kind of gives them permission in a way to to feel like, wow, that is exactly what I'm feeling, but I
Mm-hmm.
can't express it in the way that he expresses it. So definitely want to thank you for that. So
Yeah, I'm not the
that's
only
really cool.
one. Yeah, for
Yeah.
those people, I'm not the only one
Oh,
who who feels
there's
that
so
way.
many of us. Most of us, I feel, are that way.
I think so too.
Nothing's,
I think
know.
Mm-hmm.
a good number of people who collect dolls are not collecting toys. There's something else
Yeah.
that happens with that doll,
Right.
that relationship, that relationship is very different than
It's
somebody
much
who,
more connected to them
yeah.
than and a
It's
lot of times it's much
deeper
more connected
and
to
more
them than they'll
layered.
speak about.
Yes, it is deeper
Yeah.
and more layered. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. And I appreciate you sharing that, because again, that allow you've reached out to part of our audience that we haven't spoken to using those words. No
Right.
one else has used those words and expressed that
Oh,
type of
okay.
relationship.
Mhm.
So like
But
I
you
said, it
guys
is
have
a
done
form of
such amazing.
validation. Go
You've
ahead.
done such an amazing work. Um, Out of the blue, like all of a sudden, I just discovered this YouTube channel, and all those people, the roster was tremendous, and all of those people combined, it really does give a really good sense of what it is about people with dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Your interviews and the different people, they're different to each other, but they're very similar in certain ways.
Mhm.
It does create the shape of a type of a person that it is our clan. You know, this is our tribe. We're doll people.
Mhm.
You know, we're doll
Yeah.
people. Um, and no one has ever done that before so consistently and so diligently. So kudos and thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank you
much,
for
Thanos.
acknowledging that.
We really
I,
appreciate that.
Oh, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say before we have to go is that
Yeah.
I also want to say that I thought it was very fascinating, this interview about your expression and how you explain hair and
Yes.
wigs.
Yes.
Because because as people who who don't really delve into collecting as much, but understand when I look at a doll what what brings me joy. I
Mhm.
never, I mean, I can look at their hair and say, oh, that's an amazing, that's an amazing hairdo, but I never think of it beyond that sometimes. And I never think about the nuances that attracted me to that. And I think you did that, you showed that by talking about how you looked at hair and
Mhm.
how you understand how those little nuances of something like hair can really connect you to a doll without us even knowing that.
Mhm.
I just thought it was
Mhm.
fascinating. It's fascinating to listen to you talk about how you experience hair
Yes, I agree
and
with that.
wigs. I thought it was fascinating.
Yeah, and even with the
Oh,
characters in the
that's
in the
awesome.
plays,
Yeah,
yes, how
I
important
loved
their
it.
hair is. Yes,
I loved
I
it.
agree. Yeah, yeah. This is, and that's one of the beauties of in the doll world. Everybody's journey is a very specific journey, and it's like there is like, if you can imagine, like there's a globe, and there's little bitty pieces that go together, maybe little beads that you put in there. So there's all these tiny little pieces that make this, but every little bead is
Yeah, still connected.
important to that. I mean, you can't have the globe without all of the beads. And each of you walk into the room and you hand us a bead, and we put that bead on there.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah,
we're getting
so
that much
awesome.
closer. Yeah. And
Awesome.
each of you teaches us something. And I think that
Yes.
each of you teach something to our audience, because again, it's like when I reached out to you and I saw your wigs, I was like, those wigs are crazy. They are amazing. And it's like, why would you make doll wigs? But I'm looking at them and it's like, they're amazing.
Right. Why
Who
would
makes,
you? For sure.
who makes
Why would you?
doll
That's nuts.
wigs?
But
Who makes
but
doll wigs?
the funny thing about that is getting a glimpse into who he is and having these
Yeah.
conversations, you understand why he makes
Yes.
wigs. You know what I'm saying?
Just
And
from a
why,
little boy. Yeah.
right. It's so cool.
It's
It's
like
so cool.
it wouldn't make sense for him to be doing anything else in the world.
Right.
From a child, he was playing with
Dude.
human hair. He is born to be a doll wig or some kind of a wig maker. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like,
I'll add to that by saying what all those beads teach to each other.
Mhm.
Yeah,
What Julian has taught me, and Ernesto has taught me,
right.
Yes.
and quite a few more people have taught me, uh, inspire me daily.
Yeah, that's
Truly
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I'm astounded just by scrolling on my Instagram, just by seeing there's so much creativity in this world,
Mhm.
Yeah,
the
it is
doll
so
world,
much. It's so much.
and
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
some people might, I suspect some people might dismiss it as being, oh, it's the doll world. It's like, oh, it's the car world. Oh, it's the, I don't know, it's the shoe world. It's a very niche. It is niche, but it's so rich.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it encompasses pretty much everything about human
Humans. Yep.
beings.
Yeah.
And
It's like
our history. I
top
mean,
to
not just
bottom.
today. Yeah. Yeah. There's so
Yeah.
much. I mean, so much of our history. You know, they go and they excavate something from, you know, thousands of years ago, and they find some form of a doll. There's some kind of a figurine or some. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
they're
love
always
seeing
there.
ancient
Yeah.
dolls. Yeah.
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 And
It's so cool.
imagining those ancient kids playing with their ancient
Yes.
dolls. I love it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
And
it's
I
and the
love it.
stories they had behind that and what brought them joy,
Yeah.
to have something. So, I mean, back then it was simple as far as like, I mean, as far as what it was made of, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it was, just can't even imagine the stories that they had with their dolls,
Yeah.
So,
In 1,000 years, people will look at Popovi dolls and say, "Oh, look at those simple dolls they used to have."
right.
And it's
Exactly.
like
That's
Popovi is like and Pasha is like as good as it gets.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but at that moment, it was perfection.
Yes.
It was just as it should be, and
Yes.
it
That's true.
should be looked at as that.
Very cool.
Yes. So thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
Thanos,
much.
and
Thank you
we
so
will
much for your time.
thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. Thank you for
Yes,
blessing us
thank
and
you.
honoring us with your time and your story. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you so much for being with
My
us in the
pleasure. Thank
doll
you.
world, Thanos.
Yeah.
We really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Yes. All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.